Hello, everyone. Welcome to Thailand InsurTech Fair 2022. I'm Neena, and I'll be spending some time with you today. I'm a partner with Ernst& Young, and I work in the business transformation team. And I have been helping our clients across banking and insurance industry to be on their transformation journey, whether we talk about digital banks or incumbents who have been there for some time. So it's my pleasure to share with you today our views around multidimensional transformation, and we will be jumping right into it. So, how organizations have been looking after multidimensional transformation? Have they been able to leverage all the levers to get and boost the productivity to the next level? Jumping right into it, what I would be doing today is taking you through three key sections. First one will be the market perspective, the transformation pillars, and the key shifts that we are observing in the industry, basically. On the market perspective, as we all know, I think looking at more at the macro indicators in terms of what we are seeing in the whole world today right now is around a slowing growth. The GDP growth has been slowing down if we compare to 2021 and look at 2022. It's not only the global slowdown, we can see the similar effects in Asia as well. The magnitude is a little bit low, but we see almost the same thing. Inflation has been on decades high. I think we have not seen this in many more years. So what this means basically is that a lot of growth opportunities that we were seeing in the past will little bit slow down as the market slows down as well. So a lot of financial institutions nowadays are reevaluating the bottom line in terms of understanding, are there some cost levers, are there some productivity levers that they can leverage to meet the closing demand between your top line and the bottom line. In addition to the macroeconomic factors, there are some market forces as well. We are seeing that the customers' expectations are changing quite a lot. As we know that we can already see the shifting demographics wherein the Gen Z are coming more as the majority of the customer segmentation. They love to have omni-channel, personalized, contextual experiences. They don't want to be contacted out of the blue without something that is not relevant to them. They are very much looking for value for money. They are purpose-driven as well. So which means that a lot of organizations, insurers, financial services firms have to think about sustainability and the purpose around the products and the services that they are providing as well. There's a lot of cost and capital optimization pressure as well. The interest rates are going to rise. There is threat of inflation. The margins are becoming thinner and thinner, and the premium growth that the insurer firms are seeing right now has been mainly flat for the last couple of quarters as well. In addition to the internal and the customer expectations, there are a lot of competition that you would see as well in terms of coming out in the markets, whether these are digital banks that you were talking about or the insurtechs that are coming up. There are super apps, the technology firms like Amazon, etc., who are kind of launching their own insurer products as well. So it's not only the internal, external, whereas a lot of competition that is coming out in the market as well, which is putting a lot of pressure on the insurer firms to think about, can we increase the productivity? How do we remain in a beneficial situation as well? So the insurer firms have been on the transformation journey. I think we have seen this. We as EY have been a part or instrumental in being their partners in the transformation journey. But after that, they are facing a lot of cost and margin pressures. Only cutting costs is not something that will help in achieving the productivity or the target cost ratios. We see that there needs to be a fundamental shift in the business models. We need to understand the customers better in terms of what will make them stick and buy more from the firms. Transformation has been led more from customer angle, from distribution angle. I think where we see the next wave coming in is as well moving on to the corporate functions like finance, like HR and risk, wherein all the support functions have to be roped into the transformation journey as well. Automation has been a key. I think a lot of firms have been working on automation, robotics, to look at how they can convert the manual activities more in an automated manner. But the key thing would be to own the core processes that you want to be known for and which are core to your business, and you should leverage the partnerships to do the rest. Last but not the least, the architecture, the systems, the legacy architecture and the backend processes, they take a long time to modernize. And I think the data and analytics capabilities are something that are still not used to the fullest. So looking at all these factors and the way our insurer firms are working on the transformation, they have to look at multiple pillars. So I will deep dive into that into my next section, which are the transformation pillars, wherein we want to focus on three key pillars that the insurers or other banking financial services firms are focusing on. Moving on to that, I would say that it's not one or the other. We have to look at multiple levers together. Organizations that have been looking at one lever or the another lever, it is not something that will work in future. So in this presentation, what I would be focusing on is customer angle. Customer is at the center of everything that the firms are doing. Personalization and ecosystem play is something that will be the key differentiators. And if we focus on the activities that add value to the customer and get them the right product, the right service at the right time through their channel of choice, I think they want to move from physical to digital and from digital to physical at their own choice. So our firms or insurer firms have to be ready to cater to that. They want to be connected. They want one app that can connect them through all the ecosystems, their other applications that they are using as well. And with open insurance becoming one of the trends, we see that the regulators are also looking at, similar to open banking, how firms can be more connected from servicing and from delivering value perspective with the ecosystem. Digitalization and automation, I would talk more about it. I think productivity is something that is key, and this particular pillar is something that has been delivering the overall productivity for quite some time now. But the focus is shifting not only at the back end processes. We are also trying to look at how firms are focusing on their front office and sales productivity to serve the customers better and to reduce the cost to serve, and how technology in terms of modular platforms, getting the APIs right, is helping the firms as well. Workforce transformation, I think customer, technology, automation, we have been listening about it, but workforce transformation is the hidden sauce, if you ask me. Whenever organizations are looking at transformation, we need to look at, do we have the right skill set? And looking at not only Singapore, ASEAN, or anywhere else in the world, right now there is a dearth of talent. With the requirements in terms of technology, processes, the requirements from the jobs are changing. It's very difficult to find people with the right skill set. So workforce transformation becomes very important to bring all these factors together. COVID, working in a hybrid model, how things are coming together, and how we can motivate our talent internally to reskill, upskill them, and to be productive far more than what they are doing today. So let's deep dive into these three pillars, wherein we will be starting more with the customer centricity. So based on a lot of surveys that we have been doing, our key takeaways are that the customers will be radically different from the way they are behaving today. They would love to move to digital. And as I mentioned earlier, they want to do the transition, whether they were on a digital channel or they want to move to a physical channel. They need that flexibility. The middle class is becoming richer. So we have to focus on different segments of customers, basically, who are ready to spend. The attention span is quite low these days. So if you can not catch the attention of the customers with the right offers or right information, communication, it's difficult to get the share of wallet as well. They are ready to share their data if they see value coming out of it. They need instant gratification. I think coming out with rewards, loyalty is something that will make them stick as well. They are more purpose driven as well. What they also want to do is they want to be associated with the organizations that are investing in sustainability, in DEI, in being purpose led, so that they can associate themselves with these organizations better in future. As I mentioned earlier, they want connected, personalized, and relevant experiences. In one of the surveys that we did some time back, wherein they were super happy in terms of that they were ready to expand their relationship with the financial services provider, wherein they were personalized communications, they were relevant products, and they were reaching out to the customers with the right content. Whereas a lot of customers said they were quite unhappy when they get different experiences when they log in into their online, I would say, accounts, or when there is an emailer or EDM coming in and being named as dear customer rather than calling myself with my name saying, dear Nina, we know this is what you have been doing. So I think these are the key things. I think personalization is something that will drive the customer connect with the firms in future, and that's what we would recommend to look at in terms of the offers servicing that are being rolled out to the customer, which is tailored to their need. They want to be embedded. I think goes again with the same thing, that they don't want to go onto different apps. They want a super app, or their players, whether it's insurance, whether it's banking, they want it to be embedded in their daily life. If I'm traveling somewhere, if I have money and I want to invest in health and wellness, how one app can help me in looking at all these things together. So the idea is to move away from a product or a policy view to a customer view, so that you can look at customer in a 360-degree manner, that you know what your customer's life cycle stages are and how the customer need would change when they are studying, when they are starting their job, or when they go on to a different life cycle stage as well. So it's very important that the insurers embed themselves into the daily life of their customers. And this can be done only with the help of ecosystem partners. No one can try to do it alone. And that's why the ecosystem play becomes quite important to deliver the contextual and the all-round services that the customer of today needs from the firms. So what does that mean? I think we talked about it. What we are seeing is the CEOs as well are focusing on looking at how they can meet these customer expectations. How can they offer a seamless experience to them by looking at different things? And open insurance is a subset. The moment we talk about embedded finance, open finance, insurance becomes a part of one of the services that the customers are looking for. So the enterprise or the organizations have to be ready to offer these services to the customer. They need to be ready from technology aspect, that they have APIs that can connect to different ecosystem players, and they can deliver these capabilities. And you need to go out to find these partnerships in terms of what should be the core offering of the insurer firm. What are the additional products, services that you can leverage from other players that you can take out to the customer in the end, which gives rise to the new business models. You need to decide in terms of which is the business model that works best for you. What we have seen as well in terms of how the different players are looking at it, whether you want to be the ecosystem orchestrator, whether you want to be that super app that brings all the services together, or you want to be a product provider wherein you excel with the kind of products or the new products, whether we talk about PNC or whether we talk about life, basically, in terms of new micro products that are coming out, or you keep on innovating based on the new trends, new asset classes wherein the customers want to invest in as well. Or you want to be a distribution player, whether you talk about agency, whether you talk about banca, or whether you talk about direct digital. How do you bring all the different distribution integrators together? So it is a time wherein the firms have to come together and think in terms of, for delivering these personalized services within connected ecosystem, what kind of business model that you would want to adopt for, whether you want to go for more B2B, B2C, it all depends on your strategy. So ecosystems have been creating and delivering a lot of incremental value for the insurer firms. The idea is to expand the share of wallet, and you can only do that once you have the right service and the right product to gauge the attention of the customer throughout the lifespan. It's easy to lose the customers, but I think we spend, or the firms spend, a lot of money actually to gain or to get a new customer. So retention is the key. And by engaging the customers throughout their life cycle at the right time will keep us in increasing the retention. There are a lot of capabilities that are there right now with the firms as well, wherein they can understand the attrition behavior and trying to look at those indicators and increase the retention of the firms as well. As I mentioned, the ecosystem play is a key indicator or a key player, key element to look at your cost drivers as well. Activities wherein you are spending a lot of money, a lot of effort, you would want to reduce those activities and look at, can you go and leverage any other ecosystem partner to give these services to the customer rather than trying to do everything yourself. So in the end, what we want to end this section with, basically, that consumers are deciding on their own. They want to be connected, they want the quality of experience to be better, and they want to be connected in the ecosystem to deliver, to get the services from their insurers. uh, Key takeaways for this particular pillar or transformation lever or pillar would be that start with customer in the mind. Try to look at use cases that can deliver maximum value to you and to your customers. Basically, look at ecosystems in terms of how you can deliver a consistent behavior or consistent services to your customer, and it has to be top driven. The leadership has to come in from the top. You need to engage with the regulators. The moment you talk about open insurance ecosystem play, we need to know what kind of data protection, data consent that we need to obtain from the customers, and how regulators are helping in setting up these open insurance workings. You also need to look at how this will impact your P&L. The kind of partnership agreements that you will work with your ecosystem partners will define in terms of what's the cost that you bear, or what's the acquisition cost, or how will you earn money from different players. And in the end, you can only do it when you have the right technology and the data foundation elements. Because talk about ecosystem play, API, you have to be nimble. So the platforms have to be ready so that you can foray into the open insurance or the ecosystem play. The next one is the digitization and automation. A lot has been done in this area in terms of trying to understand, in terms of how digitization across the value chain and automation of manual processes can help in delivering fast and reducing the cost or keeping the cost down. What I want to focus on actually on this area is how we have been focusing a lot on the customer side in terms of what are the tools that we have to deliver in terms of sales teams to look at what kind of channels, etc., that customers are willing to pay for. And a lot of investment has been happening on the digital platforms. We want to talk about digitizing the distribution, how the agency, how my banca have been gearing up with the use of new data and technology platforms. Advanced analytics is a key one in terms of looking at how data can be used to look at recruiting of the agents, how the next best actions are being looked at, and even how leads are being matched to the agents that can serve those customers and those leads in a better manner. Cloud is one of the key elements that everyone is looking at in terms of how you can integrate better. I think for ecosystem play as well, a lot of services are more on cloud or software as a service, basically. So we need to be ready to adopt these platforms. The agency enablement or the distribution enablement is key. So looking at the cutting edge platforms that can deliver that interaction to the customer. So they need to have the right insights, customer 360 degree. When do I engage with the customer? All these information have to be readily available for my distribution channels as well. How can I onboard the customer better? So can I have automated data capture when I'm looking at filling out the form for a new policy? If it's an existing customer, can all the information be automatically filled in so that I can quickly go ahead from a code to convert kind of a discussion? Lead generation is another big one in terms of looking at how data can be captured from different sources, basically, whether it's social media, whether it's an existing customer database, how you bring everything together from different devices and try to understand in terms of what can be the next best conversation that you can have with the client. Again, I will not cover all of them, but I think one more that I want to focus on is cyber. As information, as we are getting more digital in terms of customer interacting with the insurer firms, or we embedding ourselves into the ecosystem, the fraud detection and trying to understand what the cyber capabilities in terms of access management, identity management should look like are becoming very important as well. Uh, Looking at the complete value chain, what we have listed down are a couple of emerging technologies like robotic process automation, AI, blockchain, ecosystem play, and how different insurer firms have been on their maturity journey as well. Couple of areas that are highly pursued by a lot of insurer firms are around basically looking at automation, what they can do from claim administration, fraud detection, to look at these technologies can come together and automate that part. Whereas once you start looking at the more leading firms or the more complex activities would be to look at how you can be a little bit more contextualized. Can you tweak your products in terms of looking at what the customer needs are? Because right now we are trying to look at what is the right time to approach the customer, but I think the most important thing also becomes is can I customize my product features itself based on what we are doing? Can the insurer firm become the one-stop shop for everything that a customer needs that is embedded into the ecosystem? So there is a lot of room to grow in terms of looking at the overall automation across the different value chains. As I mentioned, a lot of work has been happening on servicing and operations angle, basically. Whereas now what we are also looking at is claims, wherein looking at, obviously it also depends on the complexity of the product and the claim that is being requested, but firms are now looking at how you can automate it, how I can do a 80/20 principle, wherein if it's with simple parameters I can define that, okay, this is a low risk claim that is coming in. Based on my models, I can see that this looks like a true case, and it goes ahead with the settlement. And whereas focusing a lot of your time onto the processes or claim management that actually needs the attention, rather than we apply the same principle of looking at it thoroughly across all the type of claims that are being submitted. Similarly, services is becoming important as well, because it's not, if you look at servicing in a traditional angle, you will always think of customer approaching us with a query, a complaint. But these touch points can be utilized to understand more from the customer and leave a positive impression in customers' mind, and give that opportunity to be the top of mind recall as well when they are looking for new products. So a new operating models have been emerging on the overall servicing angle as well. So way to go. We see that there's a lot of work that needs to be done on the overall automation and digitization front as well. As I mentioned, cyber becomes important. What we see is the sophistication, the way firms are getting sophisticated in their offerings as well. The crimes are also becoming sophisticated. As the industries mature, the cyber attacks are getting more in frequency and are getting more sophisticated as well. And when things go wrong, they really go wrong. I think we have a lot of cases in the past as well, wherein the ransomware attack has caused a lot of data breaches and penalties for the firms as well. Remote working has also increased the cyber risks as well. As we are opening our network and other things in terms of leveraging and providing these services to the customers, what we are also seeing is that it becomes very thin layer in terms of making the employees understand in terms of what needs to be delivered to maintain a strong cyber and security culture within the firm as well. Key imperative actions that we would like to mention around digitization and automation is basically get the data right. Data is the key. We have been sitting, or the firms have been sitting on a plethora of data which is not being monetized. So the quality of data is important, and it's very important to unlock the insights that you can get out of it. Legacy modernization, all the good things that we spoke about on RPA, on AI, on IoT, the incremental effect will be limited if the legacy platforms are not modernized. So a lot of effort is going on in looking at how the modernization can happen. Are these all the applications that we need? Can we rationalize something? Can we reduce the cost? Can we make our people more effective by focusing on the right applications which has all the information end to end? There's a shift from capex to opex as well, in terms of, rather than investing in heavy infrastructure or heavy investments upfront, the trend is also to look at pay as you use services. The emergence of cloud, SaaS as a solution as a service is kind of triggering to look at, can we go more on the opex models these days. Process optimization, as we discussed earlier as well, is still a key focus. There is a lot that needs to be done. Right now, we see that there will be a lot of focus in these areas. And last but not the least is about adopting new ways of working. There's a cultural shift that we see that needs to happen in these to implement all these new things and to be ready for the change. Agile is a good way. We see a lot of organizations collaborating across multiple functions and bringing the right technology together and people together to deliver these things. So that's around the technology pillar. I think the biggest one that we are seeing a lot of focus that each firm is looking at is workforce. Um, Work is changing, my processes are changing, my workforce demographics are changing as well. So how workforce transformation can be looked at from a human centered approach is something that we will focus on in this section. So what in this section, what we are trying to look at is how the organizations or the insurer firms are adapting after COVID. There's a lot of skill set gap that we see in the market, new talents, new work, new competition that everyone has to look at in terms of getting the workforce ready for the next level. Uh, Diversity, inclusion, the demographic shift, part-time working, hybrid working is putting a lot of pressure on the organizations. So it's very important for the firms to crack this right in terms of understanding what kind of investments a firm has to do in talent and in the communication technology within the firm, so that they leverage the right technology to deliver the productivity that everyone is aiming for. A lot of employers are looking at what these benefits would look like. If you look at how my companies are working on, how the different firms are working on right now, is to focus on the different generations. The Gen Z would love to work remote. I think we are looking at the different trends, basically, in terms of how companies are also adopting their employee value proposition based on employee segments that they want to create. Generation Z, millennials, Gen X, and we have a lot of the Gen X as well would be moving on to the retirement as well soon. So how do we cater to the new workforce is something very, very important. Um, there are a lot of internal talent programs that everyone is looking at, and it's a top-down priority for the companies. There's a lot of focus on hiring in terms of looking at how can we get the right talent into the firm. Think about this in terms of looking at the way we are talking about technology to change. We also need people, and the roles would change as well. The kind of roles that we are doing today on processing side would change a little bit different as well. The roles become different. They are more customer centric in nature. You want people with a little bit of different mindset as well. So how are we training our current workforce? So there are a lot of reskilling, upskilling programs that we see that the banks or the insurer firms are putting in place right now. They are also collaborating with the other players as well. It's not only insurance. People are hiring people from different industries. We have seen that companies are going into in hiring, looking at people who have been in hospitality industry to be the key leaders in the client services domain as well, so that the client obsession or client centricity is the kind of the underlying principle that they are looking at. So it's very important that the firms and the leaders across the firms have the direction set right in terms of what are the right mindset, what is the culture that you want to inculcate in your firm, and are you rewarding the right behavior as well, and focusing on collaborating across different functions to gain maximum productivity as well. Looking at the key imperatives that we see across the workforce transformation is around looking at, do you know how you have to look at your current and future demand? There is a lot of work that the HR and the talent management have been working on to understand which are the job skills that are relevant for, say, 10 years down the line or 5 years down the line. Do we have these skills? Can we look at and have a workforce of future ready with us? And it takes a lot of work. We are talking about organizations with thousands and thousands of people, basically. So there needs to be a very clear strategy in terms of how talent development would be looked at. um, a lot of firms are also looking at how they can collaborate with the ecosystem players. When I say ecosystem players, it is more around the education industries as well, as in key universities where they are going out and being the mentors of the new generation. Whereas in addition to education, can they be brought in into the corporate environment as well at an earlier stage? Internships, how they can influence their learning as well, which is relevant for their future as well. Master the supply side. I think these are the internal capabilities, as I mentioned, about from partnership perspective as well. Can there be some collaborations? Can people from different sectors, insurtechs, can come together to deliver these services? ESG, as we mentioned, and we saw this in the customer survey as well, actually. So it's not only the customers, it's also the employees as well. Trying to understand what's the purpose of the organization. Can the purpose of the organization be mapped to the purpose of the employee? And that's a win-win situation wherein the employees feel that they are a part of a larger scheme of things. Diversity and inclusion are the key things that we have to look at, and attract the right-minded people to be a part of this journey. It's important to look at how even performance management and people metrics have to change. We cannot look at the same traditional measurements, structures as well if a lot of our workforce is not working full time. I think we have to be ready that the insurers would be facing this challenge very soon, wherein you have to look at how I can get this hybrid thing going. Maybe the new generation does not want to work full time. We have seen a lot of cases internally as well, wherein the new generation is coming and saying to us that, okay, it should be my choice whether I want to work full time or not. So we need to be ready with these new models of looking at whether my compensation, my reward, my performance management can be molded to these new ways of working as well. Workforce transformation in the end is the make or break. Even when organizations are embarking on large transformation journeys, we have seen things going wrong if the workforce is not ready. Change management, my workforce transformation become very, very critical. More of the softer aspect, I would say, that we see, but It is one of the key things, and we would definitely request all our insurers, banking clients to take this seriously and to put a lot of time and effort in trying to understand what kind of change culture that we want to create as a part of this important pillar. Winding down this section, it's not only customer centricity alone. It's not the automation alone. It's not my workforce transformation alone that can deliver you the productivity gains right now. It is a multidisciplinary dimensional thing that all the firms need right now to bring these things together. One lever can give us incremental value, but how to leapfrog and look at the actual gains that the organizations are looking for is a combination of multiple levers. So look at your strategy in terms of what works for you and which are the key levers that everyone wants to focus on and measure. The key thing is also to look at how do you measure these things. I will wind down the whole presentation by focusing on few key shifts that we see in the industry that will help in delivering enterprise level transformation and to unlock the productivity gains that are very critical for the organizations right now. With the top line shrinking, a lot of pressure on the bottom lines, we need to get this right. So there needs to be a buy-in. We cannot, none of the organizations in the world can deliver this without the top buy-in. There needs to be a clear strategy and vision, and it needs to be communicated from the top, basically. The success criteria need to be defined. It needs to be looked at in terms of which are the key criteria and KPIs that you need to measure to track that you are on track. And you need to kill things that are not working. It's the time to be brutal. We cannot keep on spending money, effort, resources on things that are not working. So be bold and kill the things that are not working. There needs to be a unique value proposition, as we said. Customers are looking for something that is unique, something that is tailored for them. So look at ecosystem players, look at how these services, products, and experiences can be brought to the customers. Look beyond insurance. It's the ecosystem play. The offering has to be holistic. So define the unique value proposition for your customer segments, for your partners, for yourself that will deliver you the maximum value. Partnerships and client relationships, as we mentioned, open insurance, ecosystem play are the key things. Aim is to leverage the partnership models. Have your technology ready to support you in terms of what services can be delivered, whether you talk about a distribution partner or whether you talk about your product partner or your marketing partners. So you need to look at how do you want to look at your partnership models and the role that the insurers want to play in this partnership, whether you want to play the ecosystem orchestrator role or you want to be the product or whether you want to lead the distribution. It's very important for the firms to have a clear partnership and ecosystem strategy. Technology, data, these are the enablers, basically. Even people, if I kind of look at the last two, I treat them as very strong enablers that will help us or the insurer firms in delivering what they have been set out for. Look at API enabled architecture, nimble, easy to use, easy to connect with the ecosystem players. The data is very important. Have the data to give you the insights that can help you in engaging your customers and partners with the right information. Safeguard the data, as we saw as well, that security becomes important. It's very important to keep the channels and the data secure. Talent and innovation culture, it's the key. As everything is changing, how can you have your operations, your technology teams to be customer centric? As I mentioned, all the teams have to come together. It's a multidisciplinary team composed of different specialists. How can you go out in the market to get the right talent? We need to look at in terms of, and these are the discussions that we are having with a lot of our clients as well. How do you bring all these things together? What is the right mix? How much money that you have to put in? it's a multi-year journey, but the time is to act now. I think COVID has accelerated a lot of things. The adoption of digital, what we saw a couple of years back, it has been accelerated in a span of a few months, years now. But now the firms are thinking beyond COVID. It has happened, but it has changed the way we work. It has changed the consumers. It has changed the firms as we operate. There was a lot of pressure on operations in terms of getting everyone work from remote locations to be ready for that hybrid model of not seeing the employees on a day-to-day basis as well. But we have been agile, the firms have been agile, the insurers have been agile as well, in terms of delivering what they had to deliver. So focus on these key shifts is the key one. Measure them and have your leadership ready to invest more time in this one. So these will be the key elements that we wanted to bring to you in this particular session. I hope you found the session interesting and meaningful, and you have different takeaways from the session. It has been my pleasure to be a part of the Thailand InsurTech Fair 2022. Hope to see more of you in person in next few years on this. Thank you very much.